RX Television on RxMuscle.com. This is Ask Dave, better known as hashtag Ask Dave, brought to you by Species Nutrition. Visit speciesnutrition.com. I'm your host, Sadiq Faruqi. This is your 30-minute question and answer show with Dave Palumbo. All your questions on diet, training, supplementation, IFBB pros, competitions. We are now barely 7 weeks, hard to believe, 7 weeks out of the Olympia, and that is where we'll start. Dave Palumbo, as we bring you in, we just finished recording Iron Debate with King Kamali and Lee Priest, which will air tomorrow, kicking off our coverage of the 2017 Olympia.
I invented Iron Debate for guys like John Romano, King Kamali, Lee Priest, guys who are not afraid to give their opinion. And it was just ironic that tonight, the show that we taped today, had those three guys on it. I mean, it was almost like divine providence, because that was the first time we actually got all three of them on together. So yeah, I think that they're a very good, and obviously Chris Aceto was traveling to the USA, but Chris with those guys and myself are probably the best Olympia critique crew there can be, because all of us are not afraid to give our opinions. A lot of people want to be politically correct out there, and I think that makes it boring sometimes, but hopefully we can get them back on some on the lead-up shows to the Olympia as the stories start to develop and all the rumors start to be leaked, because I love opinions, and I don't like when people agree, and this was a great show, I thought.
We have a ton of questions. Let's get right to them. Let's go to Lee Carter Fitness. Does clenbuterol have a thyroid/water rebound when coming off?
I think you get a little bit, I think you notice you get a little softer. I don't necessarily know if you're gaining fat or water. I just think you lose a little bit of that vascular, dense look. That's why I always tell people, don't stop clenbuterol, leading up to a show. I know people that stop it 3 days before. I'm like, don't do that. Not that you're going to get a rebound and gain fat, but that you're just not going to look as grainy and as detailed. So I definitely think there's a little bit of a rebound, but I don't think it's like a Cytomel rebound where you're actually putting on body fat because your metabolism is slowing.
Jacoby Alb, is all synthol MCT oil? If so, does that mean in blood work your triglycerides will go through the roof?
First of all, MCTs, or medium chain triglycerides, don't raise serum triglycerides. Eating sugar does. Medium chain fats, get oxidized as energy in the body faster than carbs do. So eating them, injecting them are not going to change your blood lipid levels whatsoever. Now, having said that, a lot of synthols that people make out there do have medium chain fats in them, but all synthols are not all created equal. The two products on the market that actually have science behind them with protein carrier molecules in them, the true science of how a site injection oil should work is Chris Clark's original product, which is synthesized. I'm the exclusive distributor pretty much in the world of this stuff, because Chris and I have been friends since the 90s when he actually invented this stuff. His product is the most potent one out there and probably the longest lasting. The second best right there, right up there, is the Painless Pumps product. Another friend of mine, Steve DeLuca, produces. And the advantage of that product is that it doesn't hurt. There's no pain involved in it. So those two products are terrific, and I sell both of those at DavePalumbo.com. A lot of people know that. The other products are what we call copycat products. They're people that just think, well, because the base of these products is medium chain fats, I'll just take a sterile medium chain fat and put it in a bottle and I'll make a ton of money on selling it. And unfortunately, the other products out there on the market are just that. There's no science behind it. It's just oil. You're injecting oil into your body. Not that you're going to have any negative effects unless it's unsterile, but you're not going to get the muscle building effects. You'll get a volumizing effect. You're not going to get the muscle building effects long term that you would get from a product like Synthesize. So there is a distinction, absolutely, and you get what you pay for.
GUI Campion has a question for coffee drinkers. Hate this show. Does caffeine release cortisol? If so, how much could someone with high tolerance consume?
Caffeine itself does not cause cortisol release. Taking in too many stimulants do. So if you drink 16 cups of coffee a day, if you drink 5 cups of coffee a day, you're going to stress your body out because you're creating a lot of catecholamine response. And when your body releases a lot of these catecholamines like adrenaline, norepinephrine, your body will also release cortisol because it's stressing the body out. And the body deals with stress well by releasing cortisol. And as we know, cortisol can cause suppression of the immune system. It can cause abdominal fat deposition. It raises blood sugar. So you don't want to be over-consuming stimulants. Having said that, a cup of coffee a day, or maybe even two, might not be the end of the world. So I have no problem with coffee drinking in moderation. I have problems with popping stimulants that all day long from these pre-workouts and these energy pills. I think those are no good for you.
Zaro5144, Dave, hope all is well. If I'm dieting and not on a keto diet, what do I have in a pre-workout meal with a protein shake? How much carbs and what type of carbs is the best to fuel a workout?
Is this, they said contest, pre-contest or not?
They didn't mention pre-contest. They said just pre-workout while not on keto.
Oh, well, not on a diet. I always like to eat, rapidly digesting, carbs, things that are not going to sit in my stomach and lay there. Although I have been guilty of eating McDonald's before going to the gym, so I take that back. Ideally, I think eating a lean protein source like a fish or a chicken or some eggs with some, fast-acting carbs like, some cream of rice, grits, white rice, some potatoes. These are good meals to have before you train because they don't sit in your stomach like dead weight. And I think that you can assimilate them better. But remember, the meal you're eating right before the gym is not fueling the workout anyway. What I used to do is I used to eat so much food that pre-workout I would actually, maybe 20, 30 minutes before I actually went to the gym, I would have a shake, a whey isolate with a high molecular weight carbohydrate. Back in my day when there were none, I would add like some grape juice or some Ultra Fuel or something like that, so that it wouldn't just lay in my stomach. And I liked the way shakes felt. It kind of almost coated my stomach so I wouldn't burp up, like an acid indigestion type of feeling from the foods I was eating before. But that was just me. So once again, it's not a good idea to eat something that's going to lay in your stomach before you train because it's going to offer no benefit then.
Clean or Klein 34, Dave, big fan. Quick question. A friend of mine has rheumatoid arthritis. Could your Arthrolyze product help minimize the side effects?
Look, rheumatoid arthritis is your immune system attacking, the connective tissue and the joints. So obviously taking something that's going to help repair the joints better will certainly alleviate some of the symptoms. So taking Arthrolyze 5 pills twice a day will certainly make the joints feel better, but it's not going to stop the progression of the rheumatoid arthritis. In that sense, you're going to have to take some kind of prescription med that's going to suppress your immune system a little bit. Fish oil, very good supplement to take for that because fish oil, also vitamin D, has a slight, what we would call immune system modulating effect. It doesn't suppress your immune system, but it kind of keeps it in track. So if it's too high, it lowers a little bit. If it's too low, it'll boost it up a little bit. So that's always another great supplement. Adding in 3 pills of Omega-Lyze twice a day could solve that problem.
Somebody wants to know about your top 3 for the open class and the 212 class. We're going to be doing predictions and prediction shows and segments throughout the course of the next few weeks leading into the Olympia. I promise you, you're not going to want to miss any of that. So if you haven't subscribed and you're watching us for the first time on the YouTube channel, subscribe below. Again, you're not going to miss any of our shows, segments, prediction segments, or any of our updates leading into the Olympia. Let's go to Fat Tony. Dave, is there any science behind injecting your gear in lagging body parts other than scar tissue buildup? I can't think of any benefits. Example, pinning in your delts to build lagging delts, etc.
I don't know if injecting into a certain body part is going to make it grow better from a muscle building standpoint because of the drug. But I do think that when you inject into a body part, you get a certain inflammatory response there. You have a certain awareness that there's something in that muscle. And when you go to the gym, for some reason, I found that it made it easier to contract and flex that body part. So I think there's a mind-muscle connection involved with site injecting oils into your certain body parts. And it doesn't have to be a lot. It could be a small, it could be 1 cc, So in essence, I think that's the effect you're getting more so than just the drug making that area grow. Because let's face it, the drug's got to get into the bloodstream, before it's going to actually do something to the muscles. But the injection itself creates a muscle building, potentiation in the sense that It enables you to connect with that muscle better, to feel it better, to have better leverage when you're lifting in there because there's something pushing out against the muscle fibers. And I think that's where the benefit occurs.
Pastor _gains 1989. Dave, how to train legs effectively but safely after recovering from a herniated disc?
Well, I think the old adage, slow as it goes is the way to go. Take it slow, do what you can do, start with machines that are going to stabilize the weight for you. Once your spine feels like it can handle what you're doing, move the weight up gradually. After a couple of weeks of that, start trying some free weight stuff, very light again. And you got to build up to it. Now, obviously, I'm assuming you've figured out why you've hurt your spine, whether it be an injury in the gym or a biomechanical problem because you need orthotics in your shoes, or there's got to be a reason. Don't just go back to doing what you're doing without figuring out what the hell happened to begin with. Otherwise, it's just going to happen again. I can't tell you, when I stopped, I was a long distance runner and I started bodybuilding, I stopped wearing my orthotics that I needed for running and my shoes, and every time I would get to a certain weight in squatting, I would throw my back out. And it would take me 3-4 weeks to build it back up and get back to where I left off, and then I would get back to that same weight and boom, I throw it out again. And I said to myself, can it be that my biomechanics are off in my body? And so I started wearing these orthotics that I had only for my running shoes, and lo and behold, my back stopped hurting and I stopped throwing it out. So, always try to diagnose what the issue is. Don't just put a Band-Aid on it.
Train _insane. Why do some bodybuilders only eat 10 to 15% fats year round? What are the pros and cons?
I think there's a definite con in not eating enough essential fats in your diet because, that's something bodybuilders, we all need that, not just bodybuilders, but especially as bodybuilders, we're going to need that. A lot of bodybuilders think they're eating low fat when in fact they're actually eating much higher fat than they even anticipate because the foods, the protein sources they're eating, the red meat, the salmon, okay, the whole eggs, they have fats in them. So I don't know, I don't think that people necessarily calculate the fat in the protein source itself. Having said that, people who maybe do calculate that and are still getting very, very low fat will find that they're not growing optimally. And when I get a hold of people like this, I educate them as to what fats they need to consume, et cetera, they find that they get a real big surge in muscle growth once they restore this missing ingredient to the equation. These are things that I talk, if this sounds interesting to you, these are things that I talk about in my Secrets to Becoming a Diet Guru course. The next one I'll be giving is here in Cape Coral on September 2nd. It's a Saturday, September 2nd, 2017. You can sign up at davepalumbo.com. It's a 10-hour seminar. I go over diet, nutrition, performance-enhancing drugs, pre-contest, off-season, men, women, detoxification, site injection oils. I go over everything. It's a one-day course about everything related to bodybuilding and how to be the best bodybuilder. And the bottom line is that, we sell these classes out. We only have 4 seats left. If you want to sign up, I think it'll be the best money you ever spend. You can't put a price on the education, and unfortunately, there's not many resources out there that will give you a good education into what I'm talking about. And once again, there's nothing better than knowing the science of what you're doing to make you feel secure that the things that you're doing to your body are the right things.
You're watching Ask Dave on RxMuscle.com, brought to you by Species Nutrition. Let's go to Bass here. See, Dave, what are the benefits of adequate water intake for bodybuilders? People always say a gallon a day, but I'm curious, besides hydration, what muscle building effects are there?
There's no muscle building effects from water, but there's muscle debilitating effects from dehydration. So as you get more and more dehydrated, your exercise performance goes down and down and down. So look, I was never an over drinker. I didn't believe in it because I felt that if you gorge too much water, you're going to water down your electrolytes in your body, like sodium, potassium, calcium, and you're going to be more likely to cramp. And so I believe drink when you're thirsty. A gallon a day is a good estimate. And most people who eat 6 or 7 times a day, okay, and who train hard and sweat, drink a gallon a day without even trying. I probably underdrink for the day, and I get almost a gallon a day just from the water I put in my fiber drinks, the water I drink to get my supplements down, the water I drink with my meals, the glass of water I take in the morning to take my blood pressure meds. So it's pretty hard not to get a gallon a day, and I think that that's a pretty good estimate. 2-3 gallons is overkill. Absolutely.
Frank Samino, now he acknowledges Testosterone, but he wants to know from a dietary perspective how to naturally boost testosterone.
That's hard to say. Training obviously boosts testosterone. Getting enough sleep boosts testosterone. Taking the right supplementation will boost testosterone. I have a great product. Unfortunately, it's out of stock for like 3 months now called Arthrolyze, which optimizes testosterone levels in the body. There's really very little you can take in your diet aside from eating enough, okay, of the fatty acids that comprise the testosterone molecule. So if a lot of natural bodybuilders out there notice that if they go to zero fat diets prior to a competition, they lose their sex drive. Why is that? Because their bodies can't synthesize testosterone. Because what is testosterone made from? It's made from cholesterol. Where do you get cholesterol? Forms of saturated fat. So as a natural athlete, if you want to naturally boost testosterone, you want to make sure you take in your essential fatty acids. You want to make sure you take in some saturated fats, like from red meat or chicken. Okay, you want to make sure you're not eating a fat-free diet. That's the silliest and easiest way to have testosterone deficiency.
Petru Matei, your thoughts, Dave, on the latest Big Ramy pictures from earlier today. I'll say this, we just talked about it on an episode of Iron Debate that we just filmed with King Kamali and Lee Priest. Dave gives his thoughts on those Big Ramy pictures. It's going to be up on RxMuscle.com and the RxMuscle YouTube channel tomorrow afternoon. Let's go to Zach Pryor. I know we get a lot of crap about this, and we get a lot in the comment sections about Rich Piana. We could be interviewing a squirrel, and you're going to want to know if the squirrel thinks that Rich Piana is racist. But I had to take this one. Zach Pryor, hate the show so much. I'd rather be Rich Piana at a Black Panther meeting than sit through another minute. Dave, what's your opinion on the quickest way to get your body into nutritional ketosis? Would high-intensity training and or cardio be a good route? What about fasting to speed up the process?
You can eliminate all the carbs from your diet, okay, and have no carbohydrate intake, and it will still take your brain 72 hours, 3 days to go into ketosis. So taking insulin, putting yourself in hypoglycemic shock, doing high-intensity cardio, and any other kooky and cockamamie thing you can think of is not going to speed that process up. Okay? The act of low blood sugar does not put you in ketosis because your body has what's called counter-regulatory hormones. If your blood sugar goes low because you're shooting insulin, okay, to lower it, or you're doing crazy high-intensity cardio, your body will release glucagon or cortisol, and they will raise blood sugar. Glucagon will take glycogen out of the muscles and raise blood sugar. Cortisol will turn amino acids into glucose to raise blood sugar. So you're not solving a problem. The reason why it takes 72 hours is because the brain is addicted to sugar. And the brain doesn't want to give up sugar. And even though there's no sugar or carbs available, it will still continue to look for it for 72 hours. Once that 72-hour window is passed, your brain will switch its metabolism into ketosis, burning fats as fuel, okay? And then you're said to be in a state of ketosis, okay? Once again, taking insulin, taking supplements that suppress, I guess you could say insulin or suppress, glucose production are not going to solve the problem and get you in ketosis faster. Doesn't happen.
Let's go to Vlad_Calatin. Dave, you always talk about using olive oil instead of using MCT oil for the benefits of hormone production. However, if an athlete is enhanced, it doesn't make sense to use only olive oil because they have no need to stimulate their hormones since they're already using outside sources. Do you think that's a valid point?
No, because first of all, olive oil and macadamia oil are not, they have some essential fats in them, but the best reason for ingesting them is because they have high amounts of monounsaturated fats, which are metabolism boosting fats. They're heart healthy fats. They improve your lipid profiles. That's why you want mostly monounsaturated fats. Essential fatty acids are responsible for some hormonal production. They're also responsible for cell membrane repair of all the muscle cells you're damaging in the gym. So you need essential fats because number one, the body can't synthesize them. That's why they're called essential fats. And number two, the body needs them for optimizing the repair of muscle tissue. Saturated fats are also required in certain amounts, not a lot, but in small amounts as well, because of the fact that they are the precursors to the steroidal hormones. I mentioned this before, being cholesterol is found with saturated fat, and cholesterol is the precursor to all steroidal hormone production in the body. And these are, there's these three categories of fats that all contribute. MCT fats are a great fuel source, but they don't do anything else in the body. So I think that's where people mistake it. MCTs can be used for fuel, but not much else. And if I'm going to give someone fats to consume that have a lot of calories in them, I'd rather give them fats that actually do something.
Let's go to George JXX rather. Dave, I was 1 week out of my last show and ended up sick in the hospital for 4 days, which caused me obvious bloat enormously. Diet went as I knew I wasn't getting on stage. Body was filled with antibiotics and various painkillers. I'm now ready to leave and feel a lot better. I'm going back onto the keto diet, which I was on, and it worked well. I have a show in 8 weeks' time that includes a recovery, and he won't go straight back into training. His question is, 1 to 2, will he look better once he started dieting and cardio? At the moment, it looks so watery and about 20 weeks out from where I was 4 days ago.
Yeah, well, you got to remember, when you're on a ketogenic diet, because the carb intake is so low, you don't really retain any fluid. That's why women love the diet so much. You get a very lean-looking face. The first week or two you're on the diet, you pee a ton of fluid out of you. You lose a lot of weight because it's water weight. And then if you go off that diet and you're taking antibiotics, which make you retain fluid a little bit, and you're taking, medicines that make you retain fluid, and you're eating carbs again, of course you're going to put all that water weight back on, and you're going to look terrible in your own mind. So probably after about a week on the ketogenic diet, you'll lose all that fluid and you should start looking really good again.
Let's go to sball95. Now, we've gotten similar questions about Arthrolyze and the breakdown of soluble and insoluble fiber before, but let's get into this one. I know you're a big supporter of fiber supplements, especially Arthrolyze. How exactly does the body break down fiber? What's the difference between soluble and insoluble? Why do some products count fiber as calories and others don't?
Well, no one should count fiber as calories because if you buy a product, like if you buy my Arthrolyze product, there's calories on the label. The issue is that they're not absorbable calories because fiber is not a non-absorbable carbohydrate. You got to remember, fiber is a carbohydrate that's non-absorbable by definition. So if you have 9 grams of fiber in a product and no other carbs, you have 9 grams of fiber or of carbs times 4 calories per gram. That's 36 calories. But they're not absorbable because you can't absorb fiber. Soluble fiber is 100% nothing gets absorbed. Okay, that's like lettuce. It's like if you mix something in water, it just lays in the water. It doesn't dissolve. Soluble fiber dissolves in water. Think of oatmeal. You put water in oatmeal and it kind of turns to mush because it's absorbing the water. Those are the two differences between those two. Now, the colonic bacteria can actually ferment some of the soluble fiber. And the benefits of doing that is that the soluble fiber actually will suppress the output of glucose production in the liver, keeping insulin levels lower. That's a terrific benefit of that. Once again, even though the colonic bacteria are fermenting the stuff, you're still not absorbing the calories from the fiber. So it's a 0-calorie supplement. And obviously, I can go on and on about all the advantages of fiber, from lowering LDL cholesterol to increasing the bulking of your stools, so it makes it easier to go to the bathroom, especially on a low-carb diet. That will help tremendously. It will keep the colonic health terrific in the body. It'll remove these LDL cholesterol bile salts, lowering your LDL cholesterol. And the soluble fiber will actually alkalinize the colon, which will make it much less likely that you'll get colonic cancer later in life. So the fiber supplements, especially a dual fiber supplement like Arthrolyze, has tremendous health and medicinal benefits to the body. And for bodybuilding purposes, it's really important too, because we can only build and repair muscle as efficiently as we can eliminate the waste and toxins from the body.
Ross Flanagan 12, Dave, have you ever experimented with, quote, fat loading versus standard carb up pre-show? If so, what were your findings?
Ross Flanagan, one of my clients, will be in the USA. I've, with women, given them only fats and loaded them up and not given them any carbohydrates because I felt that, they just didn't warrant them. They looked full enough already. They were very carb sensitive, and I just didn't want to do it. Very few guys do I give no carbs to. Sometimes I'll only carb guys for one day. But when I carb people, and people who work with me know this, I always include fats as well. So I'm not just going to give them protein, eliminate the fats, and then put a lot of carbs in. I keep the protein and the fats, and I give them carbs. Logan has my phone for me. Logan, say hello to the Ask Dave crew here. Hi. Okay, Logan, thanks a lot for the phone. Appreciate it. You want to take and go watch videos? We're in the middle of filming here. All right. Logan just had he wanted to make sure I had all my necessary ingredients for the show. He figured I needed my phone as well.
Let's go to the next question. Brian_Nassar. Dave, your recommendations for pure strength athletes like powerlifters. Is there a timing of carb intake that you recommend?
I'm a big believer, and I've said this before, of spacing the carbohydrates out throughout the day. I don't believe in like 100 grams before you train, 100 grams after you train, and then no carbs the rest of the day. Because then your blood sugar levels are going to be all over the place. If you figure out what you need for the day, let's say you need 300 grams of carbs for the day, and divide it over your 6 meals that you eat, 50 grams per meal. And that's a nice way to assimilate evenly. If you're gorging a tremendous amount at 1 or 2 meals a day, there's no way you're going to assimilate all those, and probably some of those will wind up in fat storage. So I'm just not a big advocate of loading up certain meals thinking that, because I'm exercising here, I'm going to burn these calories off. That's not the way the body works. The body has glycogen stores, almost like a gas tank. And when the glycogen is low, you want to reload it. When it's high, you don't want to reload it. So, eating 100 grams of carbs if you have full glycogen is not going to do anything but take the extra carbs and put them into fat storage. So put your carbs spaced evenly over your meals. The only meal that I could see maybe leaving carbs off of is your pre-bed meal. Some guys want to just eat protein and fat because it helps stimulate GH release. That's fine. But if you have a crazy fast metabolism like I did, I needed to eat carbs right before bed. Matter of fact, I would get up in the middle of the night and have protein and carbs as well in a shake form.
Ross Quinlan, could you explain how GH increases blood glucose levels, and why is it that after a prolonged period of time fasting, your IGF-1 decreases but your GH continues to increase?
Well, first of all, when you first take a shot of growth hormone, a lot of times you get a low blood sugar effect. That's because the GH causes the liver to produce IGF-1. Okay, and the IGF-1 has an insulin-like effect. So a lot of people, when they initially take that GH shot, they get low blood sugar. Long term, as the GH stays in the system longer and longer, and the more you take of it, you'll see this effect even more, you can become what's called insulin resistant, meaning the GH will block the insulin receptors and insulin can't get there. So what happens is your body has to start producing more insulin. And a lot of times what happens is because the insulin can't work properly, blood sugar levels will rise, especially at nighttime we see this. And so when people wake up in the morning and they take their blood sugar, they have high blood sugar levels, 150, 140, 160. And this is very unhealthy because high blood sugar will accumulate in the tiny blood vessels of your extremities and can cause, over the long term, necrosis. It can cause occlusion. It can cause you to lose fingers and toes. It can cause, if it gets into the little vessels of your eyes, it can cause blindness. It can cause kidney damage to the kidney tubules as well. So we don't want to have high blood sugar. And that's caused usually by high dosages of GH, chronically taken, meaning every single day. If you're taking in the 2 to 3 IU range, even maybe 2 to 4 IUs of GH a day, you're probably not going to have much in the way of high blood sugars. However, guys that are taking 8 IUs, 10 IUs, 12 IUs, you got to watch out for that. And that's why you have this discrepancy. So when you first take the GH shot, you get the low blood sugar effect. Long term, the rest of the day, you're going to see a high blood sugar effect.
Frank Daly, I was just diagnosed with carpal tunnel in both wrists by a neurologist with at least one needing surgery. I don't want surgery because I haven't heard anything good about it. Do I have any other options? And do you know of anyone that has come back from the surgery and still be able to lift heavy?
Lou Ferrigno had both wrists done he had carpal tunnel, and he was competing in a couple Olympias after that. So yeah, I mean, you can get the surgery. It's not the end of the world. The problem is that there's only like a 10 or 15% success rate with the surgery. versus like something like a 65 or 70% success rate if you go for ART or active release techniques. A lot of times the nerves that travel to the hands are travel through your forearms, and they get trapped in those forearm muscles because of adhesions or muscle or scar tissue buildup. And ART is designed to break up scar tissue and break these adhesions up and free up the nerves. So, I have a very good friend, Dr. Derlin Castro. I know Derek Farnsworth does ART. And when you break up these adhesions, a lot of times the nerves get freed up, and then you all of a sudden don't have carpal tunnel anymore. So, because it was never really caused by that. So make sure you go through all the exhaustive diagnostic processes before you actually go under the knife. That should be your last resort. Find a good ART guy in your area. You can go to activereleasetechniques.com and put your zip code in, and you find someone who's in your vicinity.
DJ_physique, do you think our modern day bodybuilders like Big Ramy, Phil Heath, etc. have reached the human limitations of growth, or are we going to eventually see a new era in time that will blow this era out of the water, just like we have today compared to the golden era?
We've been saying this for years. I think we've hit the upper limit with Dorian, and then Ronnie comes in at 292 and competes. And we say that no one will ever be as big as Ronnie, and then we have Big Ramy, who's over 300 pounds. So I don't think we'll ever hit the limit. We might hit the limit of what aesthetically looks good, but in terms of adding muscle mass, I can't even venture. I'm 49 years old. In 30 years, if I'm still alive, God willing, I can't even imagine what the Mr. Olympia will look like then. It's almost exciting to speculate.
Cash 2851, Dave, with a keto diet, would you still consume carbs post-workout, such as whey isolate / Carpalize, since this ultimately fuels the next day's workout, or would this bring you out of ketosis?
If you have a former heroin addict who's off heroin and you give him a shot of heroin after his workout every day, is he hooked back on heroin? Absolutely. So if you want to stay in ketosis, if you want your brain to use exclusively fats as a fuel source, you can't put carbs in there once a day, even if it's after you train, or you're going to come out of ketosis and now your brain is going to constantly be looking for carbohydrates all the time, and you will not be in ketosis, and you will not get the benefits of being in ketosis.
Let's take one. Actually, you know what? Before we wrap, Dave, we're getting a lot of questions and a lot of people just commenting, asking how you are, how you're feeling. Obviously, you had your shoulder replacement surgery, and this is our first episode of Ask Dave since your surgery. So why don't you just address the audience, let them know how everything went and how you feel.
Well, as you can see, I'm faking it pretty well. I have my sling off, but this shoulder right here was replaced. I can even give you guys a sneak peek. I still have the bandages on. These are just steri strips, but the stitches are out already. And I have to tell you, I'm not in pain during the day at all. At night, it's a little uncomfortable because when my shoulder goes backwards like that, I feel like, they had to cut through some rotator cuff tendon and a bicep tendon to get to the shoulder joint. So that's what's healing now. So I'm in healing phase. Most of the day I wear the sling. When I do, shower, and when I, do the TV shows, I take it off because there's no reason to have it on. And obviously I can't work out for 3 months. 6 weeks in a sling, really doing nothing. So I'm sure I'm going to start atrophying, and I'm sure the people out there will be like, Dave's getting skinny, he's dying, he's got some kind of disease. It is what it is. I have a new shoulder. I'll tell you this. I'm in less pain with the shoulder now than before the surgery. I was in less pain the day I got out of surgery than after. That's how bad it was. This shoulder's not that much better, but this one's not as bad as the other one was. So eventually I'll get the right one done as well. I appreciate all the people who are constantly emailing and texting and Facebooking me, to feel well and hope that I'm doing well from the surgery. Thank you so much. I'm glad that I was not debilitated as much as I was, and I was able to continue to do the programming we're doing here and get right back on the saddle, so to speak. I might not be in the gym, but I can still report on bodybuilding. So in that sense, it was a success. I also want to make I want to just remind Sid, a few people have asked me, Roid Test, the Bill Llewellyn test kit that tests anabolic steroids is back in stock at DavePalumbo.com. You can pick that up anytime you want. Also, I have the new Bill Llewellyn liver detoxification supplement called Liver Stable. It's available at DavePalumbo.com. I'm also one of his exclusive distributors of that product. It's a terrific product. If you're looking for something, to really keep your liver healthy, open up those bile ducts, let stuff out, Liver Stable is available now at DavePalumbo.com. And also, obviously, a lot of people have asked about the Dave Palumbo Experience app. We have a tremendous following now. It's all my videos and articles I've ever written. I do exclusive Q&As on there as well every single week that no one else gets to see. I answer anyone and everyone's questions that they submit on the app, and we put up fresh content every single day. So if you want to subscribe to that, you can go to your iTunes store or your Android store. All right, that's my shameless plugs for the day. Guys, thank you for supporting the site. Also, if you haven't subscribed to the YouTube channel, do so. My goal after the Olympia is 100,000 subscribers. We're very close. We're almost at 83,000 now. It's all thanks to you. Tell your friends. Make sure you hit subscribe.
Once again, tomorrow, Iron Debate featuring King Kamali and Lee Priest right here on RxMuscle.com. For our producer, Johnny Styles and Dave Palumbo, I'm Sadiq Faruqi. We'll see you next time.